4 of these, and then 4 of these, and then 4 of these. But you need to piece one correctly the first time. And then for homework, you're going to finish the other 3. Okay. This is where, who's got you, and who else is trimming down to 3 and 5 and 3/8? Okay. These, now, this square, start with this square, needs to be trimmed down to 5 and 3/8. Sorry. You can't trim it down to 5 and 3/8 because it's only cut 3 inches.
2 and 7/8.
No, no. I hate to tell you, don't trim them down. You'll trim too much. I'll guarantee you'll trim too much. We'll compensate. That's our word for the day, compensation. Okay. So once you've got it laid out, you always make sure with your diagram, this way, this way, this way, this way, because it is very easy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Now comes, I've got to keep them in this position while I pin them. So I want to move these up out of my pinning way. I always pin on my cutting board. I've got less sliding. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to piece this to this to this, and this to this. Okay. In my mind, I'm also thinking seam direction. Now, you didn't have this last week, but if you did it the way we usually do it, pressing toward the plain seam, the piece that has the fewest seams, you would have pressed them this way and this way. But here, you may not have pressed it down to the feature fabric. You may have pressed it up to that one. It's no biggie. Again, we can compensate. So, what you're going to do is take these two. This one, okay, has only one seam. This one has a seam, but it also has this seam. Whenever I have a diagonal seam like that, I always like to have that one on the top because I can watch it. I can keep my eye on it, make sure it doesn't go anywhere. So I will flip this over onto this like that. Now notice all I did was flip. I flipped. Now I put my fingers on that edge. This is the edge I'm going to pin. Not that one, and not that one. This one. Then I pick it up and I get ready to pin. First pin goes with that matching seam right there. You have your pins. Yes, you do.
Sir,
I might as well use yours.
Sorry, I
seeing as
forgot
it-
my pin.
That's all right. No, that's fine. Now, in a case like this, both seams are going the same direction. Not an issue, okay? However, what I want to look at, I know I've got my 1x6 somewhere around here. I might have had it. Did I check? Is that one mine?
No, it's mine.
That's yours, okay. Just need to, sometimes it ends up in here and
It's not
it's...
there. It's in there. Yeah.
There it is, thank you. Thank you, Beverly.
Okay.
Okay. It's hard to see because of the color of the thread, but can you see how those two seams kind of make a lopsided X? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Where the two intersect, that's where the point of your triangle is. Okay? Right there is where the point of your triangle is on this piece.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So what I'm going to look at right now is that a full 1/4 of an inch? No, it isn't. But I'm not going to sweat it. Okay? I really am not. Now, thinking about what I told you last week about piecing these units together, what am I going to do next?
Sewing down
You're
there.
gonna check and make sure that this other edge lines up.
Good. Except I've only got a short piece underneath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to make sure that those two seams line up all the way down there. And for insurance, I'm going to put a pin in to hold them in place, just to hold that intersection there where these two seams match in place. Because immediately, you see what happens? It makes that peak out and that peak out. No biggie. I'm square. I'm trying to keep everything square. So now what I need to do here is just make sure, yeah, I'm okay there. Can you see where I'm already starting to compensate a little bit?
Yeah.
The piece on the back, this piece, has been cut perfectly straight. In a perfect world. Chances are you have. Okay? So I know that edge is straight. I know this edge probably has a little bit of a wave in it. So I always line up with the piece that I know is straight, has been cut straight.
Oh, okay.
And I line that up. That's called compensating.
Against that edge also?
Exactly.
Okay.
So when I'm sewing this, I'm not sewing from this edge of this piece. I'm sewing from that edge
Oh,
Makes sense.
because I know it's straight.
I got you.
If I sew from this edge, I'm doing this, then I'm going up, then I'm dropping down again. I don't have a straight seam.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to my block? It's going to get more and more out of shape.
Crooked. Yeah, that's
Okay? So once I've done that, I can take this pin out and I can lay it back down in its place. Just like that. This is easy. This is a doddle. Okay? Well, I say it's a doddle, but do you see that little bit of...
Should be a doddle.
But, you know, basically, do you see it now? Nancy's going to say she's never demonstrating on mine again.
It's not for lack of trying.
I know.
I'm really trying.
But again, you still have to think. I'm laying that down and I'm lining up that edge. I also want to make sure that these two edges are straight.
Okay.
Okay? So again, pin and pin. Okay? Now that's going to go back in there, right there. I leave those flipped over like that. Now I'm going to take this too. Yes?
No.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. When I've done that, I don't try and match it up there. I put my fingers, this is the seam I'm going to be sewing right here. Bring it down, match my center there. What's my next step?
Check
Make
your
sure your
point down the
Underneath.
middle.
Underneath.
Check that my seam matches up, and you see it's already, can you see how that's not lined up? I've got about a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch there where they're not lined up, so I'm going to swivel that a little. Now they're lined up. I follow it down, make sure that as it goes down it doesn't go off center. Once I've got it down here, all this, doing that, is wonderful for helping you get square again when you've got your problems.
Yeah.
So now, when I do this, see that? Not worried. Okay? Got my intersection. So now, I'm going to be sewing from that back piece. So when I come to this end here, I'm still going to be sewing from that back piece, not this top piece.
Okay.
At that point, I can take that out. Lay it back in place.
Let me ask you that.
Yeah.
What you said, you're sewing from the back piece, but you're sewing on this side, right?
I'm sewing on this side, but that
Guiding
that
from
edge
there.
on the back is what I'm sewing my
Right.
1/4 inch from.
Right, okay.
Guiding from
Okay?
Okay.
So now that will go back into position later on there. So what I would do is I would sew this, sew this, sew this as a chain, not overlapping. Okay? Then I would press them. Now, here's where you need to reference the diagram. You're joining this to this. You want to press that seam towards this piece. When you got this to this, you're pressing that seam that way. And when you're pressing this to this, you're going to press that way. Because now what you're doing, that's that way, that's that way, that's that way. You've immediately got opposing seams
Yeah.
before you ever put it together.
Right.
Okay. When you've done those and pressed them, you're going to repeat with this side, putting this on top, putting this on top, putting this on top, exactly the same way. Now you'll have 3 rows. I want you to go ahead and I want you to do that. I want you to complete one block.
Got it?